good with this? Are you excited about this?
Absolutely. I will talk about anything. Let's do this.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Truth Be Told, where honestly, it's in the name.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy, Sean Spencer, and I am back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so excited. I'm so hyped. You know who it is, Sean. And hey, I got my guy right here. You see him, my friend and yours, Mr. Nicholas. I want the smoke, Rosario. What up, Nick?
Hey, Sean, how we doing? How's it going, buddy? How have you been? I know it's been a little bit since we've done this, so how we doing? How's it going?
A little bit of time. You know, the intro. I haven't been doing it as often as I got to figure out where my bearings are, but I'm good.
You notice,
right.
Different.
Got a little light, a little light thing going on. Trying to fix the light.
No, yeah. There you go. Shiny on the forehead, I see. No, I'm just playing.
Oh yeah. Get that on there. Might have to hit that hat level on this joint just to.
That's there you go. Look there, much better. That glare was blinding me. I was like, I can't see. Too much.
Yes, we are back, ladies and gentlemen, and you see the title "Truth Be Told." And hey, truth be told, Nick, I'm excited. You hit me up. You said you had that creative juices coming back, and you're trying to get back into it. And it was right on time because I was definitely feeling that, man.
Yeah, it's again, it's been a little bit since we've done this, but at the same time, it's like life takes you in many different directions. You try your best to get back to and like I said, I was just like, Sean, we got to do something, man. We got to get this going again. Let's do this, man. So yeah, it's here we are. We're back. What's the do you remember the Lethal Weapon movie? We're back. We're bad. You're black. I'm mad. So there you go. We're all good. That's us.
That
sounds about right.
That sounds about right.
That's all I'm saying. Right. It's right. Pretty much.
And look, ladies and gentlemen, you're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. I'm gonna try to share this over to TikTok. I'm trying to do a little bit over there as well. But for those of you that do not know, this is a show that Nick and I created. And again, forgive me, my voice. I went out to see my brother this weekend and help him move. Wow. He's a diehard Knicks fan, so I watched the Knicks with him. Oh. He was 12 the last time they won the title, so I was an honorary Knicks fan that day, and so I lost my voice a little bit, so it's a little crackly, but we're still here.
All right.
But look, for those of you that don't know, and Nick, let's like kind of break it down. Truth be told, was just something that we kind of came up with, a couple years ago. I mean, basically, two guys, 40 and up, experience a good portion of life, just kind of wanting to give our 2 cents on certain topics, and what do you say, Nick? Just
that's basically what it was. Like, right, we were talking, we're like, a lot of times men don't open up. Men are always accused, right, of not opening up or not sharing their feelings, their emotions, their thoughts, their whatever. And Sean is like, well, let's turn that on its head. We're going to come up with something that turns all that around. Again, we've, if you saw some of our previous shows, we talked about careers, talked about exes, we talked about life, getting older, all that stuff. So that's just us. Again, I'm 53 now. Sean, what are you, 43 now? We're about 10 years apart, correct?
This year. Yeah.
This year, right. So, so you got two guys who've lived a little bit. And so we just wanted to share kind of our experiences with these things and how we feel about these things. Again, our thoughts, emotions, and that sort of thing. And that's how we came to where we are. And so we're back now to do some more, as it were.
Yeah,
so we're
absolutely, man. Yep. So, hey, we are so glad for you guys to sit here and join us. And, it's been a while. Like we kind of talked about, it's been a little bit of time since we've been in this mix. Yeah. Nick, anything new with you? I know we kind of just talked in our little interview not too long ago. So I don't know if there's anything that's happened since then, but you had a trip coming up, don't you?
I do. Again, I'll say luck would have it, but opportunity, when opportunity meets luck, these are the things that happen. I had an opportunity to play in on an online poker app that I play on to win a potential trip to Vegas to play in a World Series of Poker tournament there. And I just so happened to win that tournament. So now I will be going to Vegas to play in an event in the World Series of Poker, which for those of you who know is the biggest poker series in the entire United States. It runs usually from May to July in Vegas. So I'm going to be playing in an event called the Millie Maker, where the top prize is over $1 million. This gets a lot of entrants. It's a $1,500 entry fee. But again, I won the seat, so I did not have to pay that. So for those of you who know the term, I'm playing with house money because it is not my own money. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the trip. I'll be playing in the tournament, the weekend of June 20th, 21st. So again, obviously we're recording the show. We're doing it live. So you won't know the result till I get back. So again, but for those of you watching live, this weekend, the 20th is when I start playing in the tournament. So I'll let you guys catch up on how I'm doing, and maybe we'll even do a couple of lives from Vegas just to show you guys what's happening. So there we go.
Let's go. Let's go. I hope you do, man. I already know we talked about you potentially going to see one of the Let's Talk Football family and Mr. Ben Cornett. Yeah. Hopefully you can get that.
Yeah, hopefully I can meet up with
together.
Ben, who lives in Vegas. So hopefully I get a chance to meet up with him. So yeah, could be a fun trip. Could be a really fun trip. We'll see how it goes. I'll let you guys know.
I'm excited. I'm excited for it, man. So yeah, that's pretty hype. And with me, I've for those of you that follow my story, I've kind of been, down here helping the family. Been down here in North Carolina for the past 2 months. Haven't just finally got a position. I actually had to do a training for it. I'm going to be working in the same field that I was working in before, which is adults with mental disabilities and things like that. So I am excited to kind of get back out in the work field, but I have been out just with family, with, just kind of getting, I've gotten a lot of rest, Nick. I'm going to say that. It's been a while since I've been working my tail off for some years, but I got a lot of rest, and I'm kind of feeling like, it's that time. It's that time, but it's been good to get rest, join my mom's church and everything. Sang in a 100-man choir.
Oh,
so
how about that?
Yeah. Got a little music in me,
Well, of course. Sing a lot. I got the music in me. I got the music in me. Oh yeah, there you go. Exactly. Right. But no, and again, that's great. Again, I think I'm looking forward to this trip for that same reason, just to get a little rest outside of playing poker. Like I get a chance to get away, just from the everyday life. Again, sometimes you get physically tired, emotionally tired, everything. You just need a break. And I think this trip is kind of coming at the right time to just, get a little break in and get some time alone and have some fun.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So listen, so look, we got to go ahead and we're going to get this thing started. But before we do, we always have to shout out my buddy in here. Oh, there he is. This is our good friend.
Oh.
We were just talking about you, Mr. Anthony Handy. What's up, my friend?
How's
it
doing?
Going, man?
How we doing, Mr. Handy? It's nice. It's so nice. Thank you for watching.
Right. We were just talking about, man, we got to get in touch with you, man, because we might try
we're
to
looking
do
for you, pal.
Epic first show. Yeah.
We're looking for you, pal. We got you watching you. That's right. You're on the list.
So look, we are going to go and today we're talking about experiencing loss. We're talking about dealing with the loss of life, whether it be in your family, whether it be coworkers, whether it be spouse, whatever the scenario. And again, just something that, we're going to kind of touch on. Both of us have experienced it, but kind of the effects it has not only on you, but those around you, and kind of how to cope and how to deal with that. But before we do, we always got to do our housekeeping. Got to shout out my guy, Anton Benson of Awesome Artisans. He is a great handyman, takes care of a lot of stuff, lives in Virginia Beach. And here he is on the other side. We're going to chat it up. We'll be right back.
All right.
Yeah, buddy. That was my guy, Anton Benson. Always good to kind of see him. And we got our guy commenting already. Say word. Just left the gym.
Oh, okay. There you go.
You got Squall for who? Oh, you want to be a UGA? Oh, this guy.
Yeah.
We know that's his thing.
Go.
If you don't know our guy, he's a diehard Georgia boy.
There was
loves
Bulldog for life, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's my high school, so I'm a Bulldog for life too, just not University of Georgia. So there you go.
There you go. There you go. And then yes, just right on here, deep topic. Absolutely. So shout out to all the people watching. Bishop Janae's mom is watching in the comments. Appreciate you in here. And hey, it is a deep topic, but we're gonna get right back into things. This, for those of you that don't know, is Truth Be Told, where me and my guy Nicholas Rosario kind of hit on certain subjects that might not be your everyday subject, but it's stuff that you deal with on a daily basis. We've all experienced the loss of some sort. And some of us have dealt with it a little sooner than others. Some of us have dealt with it, farther down the line. Some of us have indirectly dealt with it. And so we just kind of give our 2 cents on how kind of we handle it, how it affects us, how it can come out in different ways. It doesn't always come out in the way that's most familiar to everybody, which might be, sadness or, anger or something like that.
Right.
But it is something that we definitely wanted to address on it. So Nick, man, let's get into this, man. Experiencing loss. And I think we can start with, the death in the family. We both dealt with it. I don't want to say what is your go-to, but, kind of.
One obviously that always sticks with me is one I didn't even know, at the time had happened. I was 8 months old about when my grandmother died, my dad's mother. I was only 8 months old when she passed. I was ended up being the only grandchild she ever saw. Again, it was just one of those things, like, because I always wondered throughout my life, like, wow, it would have been great to meet her. You hear the stories from my mom, even how she was when my parents were married, my first married, and how my grandmother was and all this. And listen to my dad talk about her at times throughout life, when I've asked a couple questions, and that's the thing you don't realize too. Like, it never really dawned on me that my dad lost his mother at 19 years old. Like, that never, for some reason, that never equated to me. It's just like, okay, yeah, I lost grandma. I was 8 months old. I never knew her. But my dad lost his mother when he was 19. And that's, for a 19-year-old kid to lose your mom, like, that's got to take an emotional toll on you, regardless of who you are. So that's why I say, like, when you talk about how people deal with those sorts of things, again, I don't know, and maybe I should, now that my dad's going to be 73 this year. I never thought to ask him, like, how did that really affect him, or how did that change how he maybe did things or whatever. And so, that's an interesting, now that I think about that and am talking about this, like, I don't even know that I've ever asked my father about that, like, losing his mom at 19 and what that really meant for him. Because that's definitely something that would be horrible for anyone at 19 to lose a parent. So, but that's like the first, in the sense of, where I knew about it, but I didn't have a memory of it because I was only 8 months old. But one of the first times, and I just get into this really quickly, where I dealt with death in a sense of, like, wow, that person's no longer going to be here, that I can remember, was a classmate. I was in a Catholic school in 4th grade, and there was a 5th grade girl named Tina who passed away while we were in school. She was only like 11 years old, and I don't remember exact pneumonia or something happened, and she passed away. And so they actually, and again, I don't know what the rationale or what the thinking was at the time, because we were all younger, again, 4th, 5th, 6th grade kids, but we had a service for her at the school and we sat through it. Like, they actually rolled her coffin in and everything, like she was there. And I think that's the first time in that sense where you kind of experience something, but you don't know what you're experiencing, really. I'm 10 years old going, okay, I'm never going to see this person again. We weren't the closest, but I knew who she was, and she was a classmate. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know who this person is. And, she had a little brother who went to the school there who was like 3 years younger than her. So just to see the family kind of, grieving and crying, and you're like, okay, I think I know what's happening here, but I'm not 100%. I know I'm never going to
Can't
see this
fully
person.
wrap your head around it.
Yeah, you don't fully wrap your head around exactly what's going on, but you see the sadness, you see the people crying, you see all of that, and you just go, "Wow, this is something I definitely wouldn't want to have happening to me."
Right.
So yeah, so that was kind of like my first that I can really remember, like real experience with death of kind of knowing someone who was no longer here. So
Right.
I was about 10 years old when that happened. How about you?
Yeah.
Do you have any experience like that, or something like?
Well, so I kind of have one similar to you as far as with my dad, and my dad's 86. He was 40 something when he had me. So I never
exactly.
his mom. Yeah, his mom passed when he was young. And I there was always in the house just a picture. It was always just a picture of her, and I'd ask, who is that? And he'd say that's my mom, and that was it. There was no real conversation about that, and I never pushed because it was one of those situations where he, how do you ask that question to what you were saying? How do you bring that up? How do you start that conversation? In later years, I've kind of he's opened up on who she was and how she was and X, Y, and Z, but I really didn't have an understanding of that. Now, on the flip side, his dad passed when I want to say, definitely before my teens, I believe. Might have been 13. Might have been 13 when his dad passed. And his dad came by, a couple times. I didn't really see him as much. But again, with that, he's built up like that kind of thick skin, like he grieves in his way, and so that kind of is how I've taken some things on. But if you know me, I'm a big old mess ball. I just cry. But he's definitely more closer to the vest and very keeps it close. So and it was interesting because I remember when his dad passed, I remember thinking like I feel bad for this, like I'm but not really getting a grasp of it. But I was like definitely more of a feeling where it was like, this really is terrible. Like, are you okay? Like wanting to be comforting. And it's something that I've picked up on a lot recently, but it was definitely one of those situations where like I wanted to be comforting, but didn't really know how to comfort. And it was kind of like, I got it. I'm okay. He always is trying to be the comforter to us and make sure he always has looked like I'm fine and everything like that. So it was one of those situations where I've always known I want to comfort. I want to be somebody that wants to be there for it. But, with him, he didn't really, I don't know that I fully understood it. And there was no real communication on that,
Oh, yeah, sure.
Anthony says my paternal grandfather was my first remembered experience. I was 8 or 9. Yeah.
Nice. Exactly. Yeah.
And so I think if we're going back to our first real experience where we really kind of got like you said, like with the classmate, like she's here today and she's not here tomorrow, not here.
Right. She's not going to be here again. Day. Right. Yeah.
My great grandma, Burke, I remember when she passed because I kind of remember how the descent happened, if you will. I don't know if that's the right word, but kind of how she went downhill.
Declined?
At one point. Right, declined, yeah. You know what I mean? Because I remember there's always this picture of her holding me when I was really young and I was a baby. And she was old at that point. But then I remember coming over there at certain times when I was maybe, 9, 10, 11. And I'd always see her, give her a hug. It was, hey, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And I never forget the first time I really started recognizing that things were a little different because I would tell her a story or she'd ask me a question and I'd tell her something. And then as soon as I finished the story, she'd kind of ask again or kind of ask, and who are you again? Like kind of, and you can see the slip in it. And I'll never forget because my grandma was like, okay, just say it again, just do it. And it was like, huh. But even at that moment, it was kind of like, okay, well, you're getting older, you just forgot. Like, it wasn't like,
right, no, right, exactly.
We're right at the door. You know what I mean? Like, so, but when she did pass, my mom took it extremely hard because that was her grandma,
Sure.
And
sure, yeah.
I know I saw that. But that was the first time where I really remember just being like, this is heavy. Like, this is even heavier than heavy. Like, my granddaddy actually took me out of the church because I couldn't hold it together. Really? And I remember looking back at it. I remember a friend of mine telling me, I was saying, I was really devastated. And he was like, oh, yeah, you're just sad somebody died. And I was like, no, it's not that. I mean, she was close to me. She was somebody, anybody that's close to me, I always feel for him. So it's kind of like, it's not just that somebody passed. It's like that this was something serious. This is something that really affected me. And the way he kind of downplayed it really messed with me. But that was one of those first experiences where I was just like, there is no, like, she will not be back. She never again. And it was
right.
That was heavy. That's all I could say. It was heavy.
Yeah, no. And it's funny because, when you talk about, in family, like you said, like being my age, I'm 53. My dad is 73. My mom will be 71 this year, or just turned 71 in May. But yeah, it's about, when you talk about the loss in family, and for the most part, I've been very lucky that a lot of my family has not passed. Like, obviously, I've lost, just two. The first one I think that hit me kind of hard was my mom's brother. My uncle Carlos passed away in 2012 because we were close. Like, my uncle was not that much older than I was, maybe 8, 9 years, whatever it was, maybe 10 years total, because my mom was the oldest of the 7 kids. So Carlos was one of the younger boys. So he wasn't that much older than I was. So, like, growing up, Carlos was around, and like he was always somebody hung out with or palled with. He played football and all this stuff. We'd talk sports, we'd watch baseball, watch football, and all that. So Carlos was always around, my uncle, and watching. Unfortunately, we were in the hospital when he passed because they told us you might want to come now. He doesn't have long, and so that wasn't the first time I had watched somebody pass, but it was definitely, that one hit me really hard because I knew I wouldn't see my uncle again. And as much as, like I said, I was trying to keep it together for my mom because that was her brother. My sister's there, my cousins are there, my grandmother's there, and you're trying to be the strong one for everybody. But at the same time, you're like, man, this is breaking my heart more than you know. Because, like I said, Carlos was my guy. Like, I'm saying, like, my uncle was one of my pals. And so to just see him there and to see that, you're just like, oh, it was very crushing. And I think that's the first time where I felt something that deeply in terms of loss, where I went, yes, this is again, I had watched my stepmother's father pass as well. We were in the hospital when he passed. Not that I didn't love Mr. Pinheiro, but again, I only knew him for, a period of time. So yes, it was a loss and I was very sad for everyone and myself. But again, losing my uncle at that time, he's like 44 when he died. So that was still kind of, you know what I mean? It just was one of those things where you're like, oh my God, this is crazy. Like, why is this happening? Yada, yada, so that,
right.
That's one of the first ones that really hit me hard because it was a family member, but it was also somebody who was my buddy. He wasn't just my uncle. Like, we palled around, we hung out, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that was, and he knew all my friends. Like, they thought he was, they just thought he was a cool guy to be around.
Cool uncle.
Carlos was the life of the party, man. He really was. Like, we had a great time, and it just, he was my guy. So yeah, so that was, I think, one of the first that really just hit hard was probably when my uncle passed. That was one of the biggest ones there. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I'm like you, but, where
it just, and another thing. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sean. You start thinking about things, and then it starts to get in your mind about this person. That was,
exactly. No, I was gonna say I'm like you, where I'm very fortunate. I'm very blessed that I still have At least I have my parents, both my parents here. My dad's 86, my mom's 70, and my grandparents are in their 80s on my mom's side. So I have both of them there. And I mean, it's one of those situations we're talking about this type of stuff, and it's kind of like, I'm close. Why am I not over there? Like, I should be driving over there more often, you know, and that type of stuff. But I'm very thankful,
I get
very
that
blessed, too. You know. So it's good that they're still there, but there's always those thoughts like nobody lives forever type deal. So
no, and that's kind of the crazy part, is because it's not something you do like to think about, because again, dealing with your own mortality, you know, you don't like to think about that either. In the same way, but it's like, you know, another, you know, to go back into family members. 8 years later now, from 2012 forward, 8 years later to January of 2020, my Uncle Joey passes, who was my mom's youngest brother. And so that was tough for everybody too, because again, my mom was close to her brothers. You know, Joey was the youngest of everyone. You know, he was living with my grandparents at the time, which is, I live a block away from them. So it's like, you know, it's such a crazy to lose two uncles in the span of my lifetime. You know, who again, Joe wasn't 50 yet when he passed, I don't think. You know, he was late 40s when he passed. So it's just like, yeah, you just kind of, you shake your head and why did this happen? Or, you know, that sort of thing. And it's puzzling, but at the same time, you just, you know, again, it's a part of life, and you kind of accept that this happened. And again, Joey and I had a good enough relationship where, again, it hurt to know that he wasn't going to be here anymore. But it just, you know, I felt more bad for my mother, again, because now she's lost a second brother, you know, in the span of 8 years. Because again, she's the oldest, so she kind of helped raise her siblings.
All of them.
And so, and again, if you know my mom, she treated them like they were her kids. So it's not, you know what I mean? Like, if you know my mother, you know that that's the case. And so it really hit her hard. And so again, I was more sad for her, knowing that she lost another brother, you know, in the span of 8 years. Like, that's a tough thing to, especially the two youngest. They were the two youngest of the kids. You know, Carlos was second to last and Joey was the youngest. So like, she lost her two youngest brothers, you know, 8 years apart. So that's one of those things that definitely stays with you when you kind of just think about it, you know, and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's always, I mean, again, loss is not easy. And you know, death, unfortunately, doesn't, it affects everyone. You know, like you said, directly, indirectly, you know, someone, you know, I've had friends who's lost family members or their parents that I was close to, that I've known, you know, people's parents or people's uncles, and they've passed. You know, I've been to, you know, and the unfortunate part is, you know, and I looked at this, I found not that long ago some prayer cards from like all the wakes and funerals I had been to, because I had them put away, and then I'm looking through things, and I find like 5 or 6, and you just start looking, going, oh my God, yes, I remember, you know, and all of a sudden you realize that, oh my God, I've been to more wakes or funerals than I actually thought I had been to in the last 7-8 years. You know what I mean? You start, you get older, and that's the kind of stuff that starts happening. You just go, all right. Let's take a step back here, shall we? Like, let's pause the brakes on this. I don't know that one. I don't want to think about this right now. Let me put these down. I'm gonna go over here, do something else. So it's definitely, it's a tough thing to realize that. You know, again, my dad's lost a couple of friends he used to be close with. You know, my good friend, you know, my buddy, and you know JR, Jose, he lost his mom a couple years back. That was a tough one, because I knew Connie. Connie was Connie was just one of the sweetest ladies. And even me, I knew her for about 30 some years. And, you know, she was so encouraging to me. We'd be on Facebook. I'd post something. She'd like it. She'd send me a message. And you just sit there, just a great lady. Like, she didn't have to, you know, I was just one of her son's friends. You didn't have to like me, or you didn't have to treat me like I was, you know, part of your family, but she always did. And so I remember being at that wake, and that hit me hard too, because I'm like, this is a lady who was always great to me, you know, and you just, it's just, you feel bad for your buddy. You know, my buddy lost his mom and, you know, his siblings, and I've known their family forever. And it just, it's just one of those things that hits you and you go, what are you going to do? You know,
and that's and I think that's one of the things that's really hard to deal with. I mean, and going back to you talking about the suddenness of it, so I think it was in the last I think it was not even a full year ago. I think it was a year in June. My
Okay.
cousin, Jermaine, passed away. And Jermaine lived in New York, so I didn't really see him as frequently as maybe some of my other family did.
Right.
And the crazy thing about death in these situations, like he was a little younger than me, you know, and
Okay.
we were always cool. But I remember when we were really young, and I would go to my sister's place in Maryland, and you know, you know me, I'm a big football guy, so I would always be organizing football games and this and that. And I'll never forget. This is so crazy. It's so crazy how these interactions happen, because we would I remember we were playing football. All of us were playing football, and he was like, you know what, I don't want to play I don't want to play anymore, right? And so my response to him was, oh, you don't want to play because you're not good. And then he said, yeah, you're right. And I remember at that time, even then, I felt bad about it. Like I was like, oh, oh, geez, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. But it's crazy because since then we've hung out. And matter of fact, I think 2 years ago, and I went out there one weekend because I went to my nephew's. His girl had a baby shower and everything, so I went there and I hung out. And on the way back, before we left, we ended up hanging out with him. And I went over to the house. He was outside. We smoked, smoked a little spliff or whatever. And just it wasn't, exactly. There wasn't much conversation. We just chopped it up. He was like, man, Sean, how you feeling? How you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And it was one of those things where it was like, all right, man, I'll see you next time. You know what I mean? And you don't really think about any of it. And then I hear he passed. And those are the two memories I looked at. I looked at the football memory way back when I was a kid.
Well, sure.
And then you look at the memory of, well, thank God I got an opportunity to hang with him. And thank God I got an opportunity to kick it. And you always say to yourself, well, if I would have known this was going to happen, I would have done this, or I would have spent more time in X, Y, and Z. But in reality, the distance, the life, he didn't come down to our area as much. I didn't go up to New York as much. And it was one of those situations where I saw and I felt bad for a lot more of my family. Like my brother-in-law really took it hard and everything. And my sister and my cousins, all of them, because they always were over there. And I just never was in that space. So it was one of those situations where it's kind of like, damn, man, that was terrible. Speaking on friends and things like that, shout out to my guy and the Holmes family. I love them dearly. Marcus Holmes. This guy and I coached football together. So, before I did any of these shows, this was actually a precursor to me building the confidence to do the shows. I was sitting there, I was working, I was, living life. I, didn't really have a direction. I wasn't this Sean Spencer of Let's Talk Football. I was just Sean Spencer. Like I loved football, but I didn't know where to put this energy and all this stuff.
Where do I do this?
How do I direct it? I'll never forget randomly, and probably around this time of the year, like May, June, he hits me up and he says, hey man, random question. Would you be interested in helping me coach football? And I was like, yes, absolutely.
I would. Right. Yes.
Right. And so then for the next about 6 years, I coached side by side with him, and he let me be the offensive coordinator. And man, we had these great games. Like we were coaching kids, and we would be able to chop it up, just talking like football and drawing things up. And I remember like he gave me like the freedom to like draw up my own play. And so one of the greatest memories I have is we're playing a game with our kids, and this was like a ragtag bunch of kids. We're playing it in the snow. You know what I mean? It's coming down. We got pictures and all this stuff. And it came down to the wire. We drove down the field, and he turned to me. He said, Coach, I need something. I need one. I grabbed the quarterback, and I'm getting chills thinking about this. I grabbed the quarterback, and I literally did a Bill Walsh to Joe Montana, get down on one knee, and I sat there, and I was like, give me the clipboard. Give me the clipboard.
Right.
All right, got this guy. He's going to go in motion. You're going to fake the handoff to him. We're going to have this guy run into the corner of the end zone. You throw it there. You got it. And I sat there, and Marcus said, go with it. And we went. They ran the play. He threw it, game winning, got the touchdown.
Oh, look at that. There you go.
Yeah. Sidelines. I'm just hopping. Yeah. I'm just hooting and hollering. I gave Marcus a hug. And it was one of those situations. Oh, man.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. I can see you getting charged up now, right? Like, I can see it, yeah, bro. I see the emotion. So, I mean, yeah, like, I got you.
But he believed in me, man. And right, in a time when I didn't believe in myself, he gave me that opportunity to be who I eventually came to be. And I remember, I'll never forget this. And shout out to our guy, Bobby Wills. I'm on my way to work one morning. It's raining. And Bobby hits me up and he said, Marcus died. And I remember thinking,
wow.
I remember thinking, who Marcus? Like, and because there was no connection in my mind to Marcus Holmes. It was always a connection to another Marcus, whoever. I was like, well, I hate to even think. I was like, I didn't care that much about this. I was like, I didn't, why are you telling me about this? And he was crying, and I was like, no, and I was like, Marcus who? And he said Marcus Holmes, and I lost it. I absolutely lost it in the car. I even went inside, lost it over there. And it was one of those situations where it was like, I hadn't talked to Marcus in years, or not in years, but like I just talked to him randomly. And I remember the last time I had hit him up on Facebook, just like, yo, man, I would love to get back into it with you, man. I would love to coach with you again. I'd love to do that. Those are some of the best years of my life. And he was kind of like, he was like, yeah, man, me too, man. I love it, man. I love it, man. I wish we could do that again. Something like that. And he was like, all right, man. Well, yo, hey, I was like, I'm going to see you, man. We gotta get up, man. We got to go get a drink or something. And he was like, yeah, we'll definitely do that. And then to hear that, it literally broke my heart. And I remember going to the funeral, and my mom and his mom are just, best of friends. His dad gave me a job when I was really desperately like that. Family is really so close to us. And at the funeral, his mom was just out of it. Just didn't even know how to imagine. Don't even know how to deal with that. And when he sat there, or when my mom saw her, they just embraced and they hugged. And I remember at the funeral, I saw some of the other coaches. And like we saw each other across the room, we just pointed to each other, guys that I barely knew. And they came over and we just, wrapped, hugged. And it was just one of those things where you hate this, that you have those situations and it takes that to bring you back together. But it was so much of like, you just see how much people he impacted. And with me, he was just it was so huge for me and dealing with that. And like you saw, I get choked up now thinking about it because he was absolutely it for me. He was one of my best friends. Nathan Snell is in the building. He said, as a caregiver, I've been told to cherish moments with loved ones, especially ones around the holidays. My granddad would have been 95 last Monday, 2 years gone. My bad, man.
Yeah, Nate, my condolences, Nate. And see, you talk about grandparents again. I had already mentioned losing my grandmother when I was 8 months old. My grandfather, who was my dad's father, he passed in 2016. He was 88. But you talk about memories. You talk about, like you said, the things when you start looking back at the things that you've done with these people, and like we used to go to my grandfather's every Sunday. My dad, when we were with my dad. We would go every Sunday to my grandfather's house. My uncle would come with my cousin Alex. My Aunt Mary would be around. And my grandfather would, I remember these memories when I was a teenager, young kid. My grandfather would always cook for us on Sunday. We'd go over there. If it was football season, we're watching the Bears. He would say those lousy Bears. And then if it was baseball season, it was the lousy White Sox. Because we watched the White Sox. And it just, because we were all Sox fans on that side of the family. Like that was the big thing. My grandfather, Sox fan, my dad, my uncle, I was raised as a White Sox fan, but it was just funny because my grandfather always called them the lousy White Sox. And, you just remember these things. And one of the best memories I think I have with my grandfather in terms of like, we took a trip to Milwaukee to see the Brewers play the White Sox. This was many years ago. And it was my father, my uncle Alex, and my grandfather Alex. That was his name. And just remember the trip, getting Grandpa bratwurst, and just sitting there and the three generations of Rosario men sitting there watching baseball, because that's one of the things we love to do. Like you just remember these things and they just stick in your head, and you know, yeah, I remember at his funeral, I actually got up and spoke. I don't know that I was initially going to, but like something just came over me that I wanted to talk about my grandfather. So when they gave everybody the opportunity, I actually got up and said some things about my grandfather because he was very special to me. I mean, maybe I didn't always say that to people, or maybe I didn't even say it to him. I don't remember. I'll be honest. I might not have, but those are things you cherish. Like I loved my grandfather, and I always listened to when he talked, and you know, we talked about life as well. Like we didn't just talk about sports. Like there was times he told me about raising a family when he was just a short order cook, you know, and doing these things, and how he got up for work every morning because he had to. He had a family to feed, a wife to take care of, and that sort of thing. So like, you know, learned a lot from my grandfather. I think, you know, again, it's one of those things. Nothing is ever perfect, of course, but man, you never forget those things, and you always remember, you know. And the same happened recently. I mean, my mom's mother, passed in December of 24, and that was a big one because again, my mom was taking care of my grandmother for the last, you know, many years of her life through different battles with illness and just getting older and stuff. And you know, finally, grandma passed in December of 24, and it just, again, I felt more bad for my mom, seeing how, you know, she was trying to be strong for everyone. And, you know, you're trying to be strong for her. You want, you know, do you need anything, blah, blah. And I think you just, you know, it's just one of those things where, again, it's life. My grandmother was 86, 87 when she passed. So again, lived a good life. It's hard to say you did, you know, you lived that long. That's great. But yeah, it's still sad because again, you're never going to see them again. You know, it's not going to be something that, so it just, you know, those types of things. And again, it stirs up all kinds of feelings. Again, it's family. So it stirs up emotions, stirs up this, it stirs up that, you know, you start remembering this and this and that. And it just, before you know it, you're in a full blown, you know, like, oh my God, I can't believe, you know, and that sort of thing. So, and, you know, everybody's reminiscing and this and that. And it can be, you know, and that's like you said, Sean, like, you know, unfortunately, sometimes that's the only time you see certain family funerals or weddings or something. Like you don't, otherwise you like, I mean, again, I have godparents. Shout out to Edgar and Dorothy Pardo. And I hadn't seen them in a while. I mean, a long time. And so my grandmother's funeral, I see my godparents. Hey, Dorothy, Edgar, how are you guys? Like, you know, I haven't seen you guys in here, but I'm glad you're well. I'm glad, you know, that. And again, you lose touch. I mean, again, we're busy. You know, it's one of those things. It's not an intentional, but life takes over, you know, and sometimes you only see people at certain times. And I think that's just, you know, one of those things, unfortunately. But yeah, so yeah, you know, because again, loss too, like you said, it's experiencing that loss, sure, but there's loss of a lot of things. I mean, sometimes you lose your own sense of who you are. You lose your sense of reality. Sometimes people take that very hard, and I think you lose perspective. You start questioning everything, or you lose your way as it is. And so, I mean, you know, experiencing loss could mean many things, you know, in that context as well. Just, like you just, and it doesn't, again, it's not something everybody's comfortable talking about or that anybody wants to talk about. And I understand that. You know, when Sean pitched the idea, because, you know, again, this was Sean's idea, and I'm sure he's going to get into the reason why we're actually doing this show, because I'm going to make sure he does. No, but I'm just saying, like, that was the genesis of this particular episode was an idea that Sean had because of something that he's going to talk about in a minute. But yeah, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, no, you know, I can talk about this. I mean, it's not the easiest thing to talk about, but again, it's important. Like the reason that's the thing I want everybody to understand. That's the reason Sean and I started this to begin with. Like we called it Truth Be Told for a reason. Because again, as we mentioned in the beginning, like, you know, especially with men, they don't always want to share how they're feeling. They don't want to share their emotions, or they're afraid to. They were taught not to. You got to be a man. You can't cry. You can't do this. You got to, you know, always be tough. You got to do, you know, but we deal with this stuff every day, just like everybody else does. You know, we need some place to talk about things, or to get our feelings out, or to get our emotions out. And I think that's important. 100% for your own sanity. Like, you know, if I had no one to talk to about stuff, I'd go nuts. Like the stuff that's in my head, you wouldn't want to know. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so having Sean, like Sean and I have had many many a conversation about all kind of life things. Like honestly, which is why I think we're comfortable enough to do this show. Because him and I pretty much told each other everything about our lives and what we've gone through and like the whole thing. So it's like he knows about me, I know about him, and yeah, thank you, Nate. I mean, thank you for saying the facts. But yeah, it's true. I mean, you're just men don't always do these things, and I think it's important that we do that and we have that outlet for guys to talk about that kind of stuff and this kind of stuff. And that's why I think the show is so important. Not because Sean and I are the greatest thing, even though we're a great duo, which we are.
We are. We're pretty great. We're great. Let's just pin there. But
we're also here to help because that's both. Yes. That's who we are as well.
Yes,
we like to help, and if we could do it,
that is why we're doing this.
Yeah, 100%.
To start the conversation because we want. These are a lot of things, and I'm going to get to the reasoning before I do that. These are a lot of things that a lot of times people will not talk about, and they'll let it just die, and then all of a sudden you have these situations when they come up to the funeral, they come up to it, and everybody's just dealing with whatever emotion they have, and a lot of people don't know how to deal with that grief. They don't know how to deal with that upset and everything. And shout out to even the people that are watching. My guy, our guy Anthony, just said the timing of this. He said his family just buried his big cuz last Friday, and I was his first big brother. You know what I mean? And those are things that weigh heavy on my heart. My guy that came in here earlier, Ahmad, we call him Nine the Poet, just said, his girl lost her mom just today. You know what I mean? And look, it's not easy to talk about. We're not even going to try to sit here and sugarcoat it and act like it's easy.
It's not.
Because it's not. It's devastating. One of the reasons why this came up to me today was because this was the 5-year anniversary. I told you I work in the field working with adults with disabilities. Today's the 5-year anniversary of me losing Michael Cullerton, a guy that I worked with for nearly 10 years. I did the overnights with him. I was the last person he saw before he went to bed and the first person he saw when he got up. We had such a close relationship. We went all the way through COVID, and I'll always say he was the last casualty of COVID. I don't think it was anything to do with COVID, but I was there with him the night before he passed on. I saw him that night. I was there, and I remember sitting there like, I should just stay here. He wasn't feeling well. I was just like, I should just stay. And I'll never forget. They were just like, no, you're good. You got to go. And I called my buddy that was living over there. I said, can you come by the house? And it was just one of those situations where when I got the phone call, it was just like everything goes through your head. I should have done this. I should have done that. Why didn't I? Blah, blah, blah. And it was the first. It's one thing when you're talking about family. It's one thing when you're talking about, friends or people that are close in that regard. But when you're talking about somebody in a situation like this, where just like with Nate, being a caretaker, being somebody that they are relying on you for their safety, their health,
100%.
And that happens, you have a guilt, you have a pain. I will always sit here and say my music choices were fairly set on R&B and jazz and gospel and rap and that, up until that. And when I met him, he listened to a station called Big 100.3, which is classic rock. And that's the first time I get introduced to the Stevie Nicks. First time I got introduced to a lot of those groups that just really, I mean, it just opened up my mind of music, of just everything. And it was so amazing now that I look back at it and I'm looking like the songs that I play on a daily basis. My mind is escaping me. I know, Nick, I'm saying karaoke with you and all the songs that, that I'll go down with. But it was one of those situations where it was like that is how we can cope with it, by taking those good moments, taking that positive stuff that we had from those situations, and all right, let's take that and that helps us to get through. That helps us to keep moving, because let's be very, very honest. It is not easy. Not only it's not easy, but it is rough. It is absolutely rough to kind of deal with a lot of this stuff. But So yeah, that's one of the reasons. And the other reason is because I think, as you know, that we deal with this, one of the things that happens in this is we tend to internalize, some of us,
Oh yeah,
internalize what's going on, and
for
some of
sure.
us, like my dad, will very close off, won't say anything, but it'll come out
Yeah,
in some way, shape, or form, whether it's anger, whether it's frustration, whether it's,
yeah,
crying, whether it's binging, whatever it is, it comes out in
right,
situations. And then sometimes you'll have it where, like we mentioned indirectly, there's a situation, that I've kind of been a part of where, you really have something that's happening that you're maybe connected to 1, 2 away. Like you're not it's not you, but it's
right,
a little farther out. But a lot of the people that are dealing with it are dealing with you, and they're coming
right.
to you. So one of the reasons I wanted to bring this up, because I think we need to address how it affects the surroundings. Because when we look at the stress, when we look at the upset, when we look at the frustration, the depression, the anger,
Yeah,
the pure pain, a lot of times we tend to look at it from our perspective, and we
oh yeah,
sometimes might, I don't say we do this voluntarily or on purpose, but we kind of neglect other people and what they're going through and
yeah,
how they're dealing with
sure.
that pain. So, and Nick, I'll come to you. Like, you know, it's not easy, and
No,
nobody, a lot of people, nobody deals with this the same way. But
right.
talk to me about how, like, it's one of those things where, and this isn't even a way. We're not even trying to say you got to deal with this way. You got to deal with it, but
No, no, no. Yeah,
we do need to make sure that we address, you know, talk to somebody, get the help you need,
yeah,
get the ability to be pain, so that you're not going to a situation or a gathering and totally acting irrational, losing your mind because we
right.
don't have that way to cope, you know?
Yeah. Oh, it's extremely important. And again, that's why I think the funerals or wakes that I have been to for like friends, people, friends, parents, or something that's happened, you know, uh, my best friend, one of my best friends, Kasha. I mean, she's uh, my best, female friend. She lost her father a little
Mm,
while back, Richard, maybe 7, 8 years, something like that. I'm trying to remember the exact time, but I remember being there for that because I remember she actually called me or messaged me kind of right after he passed. I got a message and I'm just reading this and my mind was blown. And, I just knew immediately that, yeah, I was sad for her, of course, but it was just sad to me in general that, here's this young girl who's lost her father. And it just, and being at the funeral and trying to just, give to the family, as it were. Like you said, it affects people around you, like how you react as well. And, can you be of service? Can you be of help? Can you be
right,
a shoulder to cry on? Whatever it is, being there for someone, I think you can never underestimate how important that could be.
right,
Because again, like you said, your family is your family, and you guys always bond together. You try to come together in these moments. But like you said, you've got coworkers who you see on a daily basis who lose people, and how do you relate to them with that? Like how do you, that sort of thing. Your friends, I've had friends who've lost parents or who have lost siblings and that sort of, or cousins, whatever. And you just, how can you be a person that could, at least just try to be there for everyone or try to be, you know what I mean? Because again,
right,
you understand how this is. Like I said, in some way, everybody's lost somebody at some point.
right,
Because that's just the way the life cycle is. It's going to happen. So everybody who's of a certain age has probably dealt with death in some way. I mean, once you get old enough, it starts, like I said, unfortunately, it starts to happen more than you'd like as you get older, it seems like. But
mhm,
yeah, I think just your surroundings are important to be aware of, as you said, because again, yeah, you're grieving. And again, you should be, you feel for the loss and that thing. But, in some ways too, you want to be there for the people who this has affected directly. And you want to be there to be of support, to be of service. What can I do? Is there something I can do? And it's just, as a human trying to be compassionate. You know what I mean? I think just having compassion for someone who has suffered a loss, I think it's just so important. You know what I mean? Just because again, in the grander scheme, and Sean, on other shows we've talked about this. Like, we're all in this together. Honestly, like we're all nobody, nobody gets out unscathed in the end. We all kind of deal with the same thing. We all have the same fate. So we're in this together, man. Like, let's be kind to each other. Let's try to love each other as best we can, right? And just help each other through things like this, because again, we're all in this together. We're all going to experience this. It's all, we're all going to have this happen. And I just think that's so important in general, to just be kind to people. You never know what somebody's going through. You never, you never know what they're dealing with, or what they just got out of or are getting into, or anything like that. And so so important to me, Sean. Thanks for bringing that up. I think that's a great point. Question to put up there and to make. Yeah,
and I think honestly, and listen, it's we'll start off with this. Nobody said this is easy. Okay,
right? No,
from
not
the
at all.
perspective of you losing somebody, the perspective of you being there for somebody that lost somebody, from even the perspective of you trying to support a coworker, a friend, somebody that's, but it's one of those situations where, and I firmly believe this is one of the reasons why we're here. We're here to celebrate our people's successes, but also we're here to be there for people when they experience these type of things, because, nobody wants to do this alone. I mean, we've heard it many times that Christmas, Thanksgiving, some of these holidays are some of the toughest times for people. We look at it as celebration, vacation, all this time. But a lot of times these are those moments where people are really heartbroken because they have to experience it without that loved one, or they're not watching the game or not doing X, Y, and Z with that loved one. And that's where I think we're called on to be people that can really step up to the plate and try to just be cognizant of that, be thoughtful of that, put other people's emotions and feelings sometimes, ahead of our own, in the sense where it's like, you're going through, I might be also going through, I might, whatever, but you just want to make sure that you have an open heart for that, because loss in whatever capacity is hard, especially the closer you get to it, the harder it gets. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to lie, man. I hope I go before any of y'all, because I don't ever want to see any of my people go or any of that stuff. It's a terrible thing to say, but it's just, I know myself. I am a bleeding heart. I will sit here and boo-hoo to the cows go, well, I knew it when he did.
And that's the thing too, right? Like, I mean, again, as you said, as you get older, you start facing that possibility that could happen. And again, not to be too morbid about this, but like, there are days I think about this. My parents are in their 70s now. And again, I hope they live another 20 years. God bless them. I hope they do. But I'm 53 too. And I know that if I went before my parents, that would be terrible for them. Like, you're not meant to bury your children, right? Like, that's one of those things where, like, and life being what it is, things change in a minute. In a heartbeat, life can change for anybody. And so it's something I've thought about. Like, man, I really hope that doesn't happen. I hope in our family, nature kind of takes its course and we go in the order we're supposed to. Because again, as much as I don't want to think about that, if I live long enough, I know I'll see that. And so I just try my best as I've gotten older, like, do I, how I am, Sean. I like to joke around and stuff. I give my mom a hard time about things. I'll joke with my dad, but at the same time, every now and again, you get that thought in your head of, man, I really hope they live to be whatever, 80, 90. Like, you don't want to, think of life without your parents in some way. Right. Like, regardless of, especially if you have a relationship with them. I know, again, everybody's different, different situations. But like, I have a good relationship with both my parents and even my stepmother. I have a stepmother as well. My dad's been remarried for 38 years. So, I mean, Vilma is around in my life too. And it's like, she's in her 70s too, and you just, you hope that day doesn't come that soon. Knowing where we are, where everybody's at, you just hope we're all much older when that sort of thing happens. But again, it's definitely as I get older, it's something I think a little bit more and more about. And and again, it's just one of those things, unfortunately, that's life. We're all in the circle of it, right? The circle of life, and we all are a part of it, and we all spin around in it, right? We all spin around in it, we all go through it, and we're all going to go through it. So, but again, that's why I say, man, as I get older, I really, Sean, I think this is an important message to get across. Like, be grateful, be happy about what you do have, be grateful that, at our age, because again, you said your dad's 86.
Yeah.
I mean, God bless him.
87
your
this
dad's
year.
86. Yeah. God bless him.
Still working 3 days a week.
And, you've told me about your dad. This guy was a military man and like actor. Like, this guy's done everything. Like, matter of fact, I really hope. I'm gonna speak this into existence.
Come on.
If there's one thing I'd love to do in my life, honestly, it's meet your father. I would love to meet Mr. Spencer and just have a conversation with him. I would love to meet this man. Everything you've told me about him, I would love to have a conversation with this man. Honestly,
the legend.
So if I can make that happen, I'm gonna have to go to North Carolina, obviously, to do it.
Come on.
But yeah, I would love to meet your father and just have a conversation with him. I think that'd be phenomenal. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you count your blessings that, man, you get up every day and your parents are still here, or, you're sitting. I have siblings. I've got a sister I love dearly. My brothers, love them dearly. I've got 2 nieces, 2 great nieces. Like, you wake up every day going, man, I hope everybody's okay. I hope everybody's doing well. Like, my brother had a scare. And, my brother had a triple bypass at 40. So, I mean, 40 years old having a triple bypass. Come on, man. Like, so I've had scary moments in my family too with people. And, myself, I've had a few hairy situations. So, you just sit there and you're grateful that, again, I'm still here. We're here and we're doing it. So, yeah. Again, very grateful.
And guys, that's, truth be told, we can't get any realer than that. And I see, Emily Lulia Flynn came in here, lost her dad about a year ago, and that kind of happened out of the blue. Yeah. And Alice, Alice Lulia, that's her sister.
Alice Lulia. Okay. Yeah.
That's her sister, right? So, even with that, I remember just you don't really know what to say, but you just hey, we're here. If you need anything, we care, we everything. You never want to see that. And
exactly.
Like you talked about, Pops, and he's still grinding, he's still working. Come to find out, his dad did the same thing, worked up until the day he died. So it's like you kind of have like the thought, like, okay, well, he's still with it, he still works, he's still blah blah blah. But it's also like I look at him and scandal aside, I look at him kind of like Joe Paterno, where it's kind of like this guy did he was going to coach until the day. And once that was taken from him, boom, that's what it was. So for me, it's kind of like one of these situations where like that, like you said, nobody lives forever. You just, all we can do is be thankful for the time that we have. And that goes for anybody. Obviously, you would think, the older it is, then, that's more where you would focus. But to your point, Marcus was my age when he passed. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Michael Cullerton, the guy, he wasn't that much older than me when he passed. All these people, death doesn't discriminate. You know what I mean? And might lean towards one direction, but it could take anybody at any time. So, and I guess that's what, we don't, I really don't want, a lot of people, I know you're going to look at the title and experiencing loss, and you're just, I'm going to go away from this. And I understand that. Not a lot of people don't want to deal with it. And 100%. I don't want that to be this.
The reason you don't watch this. Right.
Exactly. Exactly. Because to be honest with you, and I don't know if you remember this, Nick, I actually, when we first did the first iteration of this show, I actually brought this up as like one of the episodes to do.
Yeah.
And you totally were like, no, we're not doing that. We're not.
Yeah, not right now. Well, because at the time we were trying to.
Right. And I'm thankful that you did cut that out. And I felt some type of way about it, but at the same time, now, especially now in my life, now in kind of how things have played out, it's such a much more perfect time to do it. You know what I mean?
See, there's a thing.
Where
It shows you what a difference 3 years makes.
right,
Because maybe
right,
maybe subconsciously I wasn't ready to talk about this 3 years ago. You know what I mean? I was in a different place,
yeah,
mentally,
yeah,
physically, right? You know,
yeah,
you're just like, I don't want to. I
yeah.
don't know. I want to talk about this.
Same here.
It's 3 years
Same
later.
here.
I'm in a different space. I'm in a different spot.
Right.
You know, so yeah, it perspective is one thing. Time could be another. You know, you
Yes.
never know, buddy.
Yes.
And I mean, grateful to be here 3 years later to do this show now, like you said. But at the time, I was like, maybe we shouldn't do that. But let's do something else. Let's be more lighthearted.
Yeah.
Let's because again, we were trying to launch, and we're like, let's just do something a little more lighthearted, shall we?
Right.
You don't want to hit people with the serious one right out of the gate and be like, what is this show? No, but yeah, you know, but again, yeah, I think it is important to talk about. It is a part of life. Again, a part of life not a lot of people do like to discuss, and I understand that. But again, Sean and I are here to facilitate. And again, I do open this up. Like I know, a lot of people on here will see us and think, okay, here's just, Sean and I are just two regular guys, honestly. Like we both work, we both make our living, we both love doing things like this. This is done in our spare time. We're not, we're not getting paid for this. This is something we love to do. Like we really, that's the thing. And it's not for a pat on the back, but it's just, if we can help, we want to. And that's the point of this. Like this dialogue started because of that. We wanted to make a difference. We wanted people to start talking or get people involved in the conversation. Like this is why we do this, guys. Like this is why. Right. And this is important. Right. It's life. Life is life. And we all live one and we all have one. And we're all, like I said, we're all here together on this planet to, do whatever we're supposed to do and accomplish whatever we're supposed to. So, hey, if we could help each other out just a little bit, it just makes it that much better for me anyways.
Absolutely. And let's, I think we could wrap it up on that. Honestly.
Yeah.
Hey, as a matter of fact, Nick, what did Jerry Springer always used to say, man?
Oh, yeah. Remember, I used to quote this all the time, and now I'm sitting there going, Sean put me on the spot.
Right.
Well, yeah, no, wait, hold on. Springer, right. The quote after every show was, be kind to yourselves and to each other. And I think that's an important message every day, and it's so true. Be kind to yourselves and to each other.
Absolutely. And while I got a second, definitely want to shout out Off the Wall TV. That's the media group I'm on TikTok. Bree, I apologize. We tried to do this on the thing restream going towards TikTok, but the delay was too long, and this was too sensitive of a subject. We really wanted to make sure that we were on the same page. So I definitely sent it to you, and I'm going to make clips and put those up, but I'm definitely going to try to go live with it in the future. But listen, I thought that was extremely important. And it's funny. It's funny when you think about the show and how crazy the show was, but that he said that and wanted to end it like that.
Be kind to yourselves and to each other. Exactly. And again, Springer ended every show with that. Exactly. So there you go.
So that's something that's key. So with that, hey, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Obviously, my guy Nick is going to be going to Vegas. Hopefully, he's gonna win some big money.
Hopefully, we win a little money, right? A little something while I'm there,
a little something.
See how it goes.
He's gonna come back with his yacht and everything.
Take it easy, pal. I'm about
you know what I mean?
That's not me, but all right, sure.
Oh, hey, we never know. We never know. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, we are so glad that you got an opportunity to sit here with us, whether you're watching it now or whether you're watching it in the future. This is something that we had in our hearts and mind that we want to talk about. I appreciate you, Nick. We're both, like you said, where we're at now is a lot different where we were at a couple years ago, but
for sure.
Everything happens in the time that it's supposed to happen. And maybe
we are.
And I've already, like I said, I had two or three people hit me up telling me that this was the timing of this, and had people just pass and things like that. So I'm just glad we were able to get together to do this thing, man. 100%. next time it'll be a little lighter. Next time we'll
we'll try to do something a little lighter next time, right? We'll take it down a little bit next time, right? Absolutely.
Right. Oh man, but yeah, but hey, that's it. We're gonna get out of here.
Yeah.
For my guy Nicholas Rosario, Mr. I Want the Smoke. It is your boy
Always.
Sean Spencer. This has been Truth Be Told. We're so glad you got a chance to join us. We will be here with you next time. Stay tuned to all the good stuff we got going on. And peace, people.
Good night, everybody.
Are you good with this? Are you excited about this?
Absolutely. I will talk about anything. Let's do this.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Truth Be Told, where honestly, it's in the name.